I'm loving the fact that you don't know what subjects I'm bringing to the show most of the time because you don't bring any of your own. This is like a one woman show here.
Wow, I surely have, but it's cool.
Okay, so you ready to start the show?
Yeah, I guess why not? We're here now.
Okay.
It's the One Man, One Woman, the podcast with Jdot and TM. We haven't established a
We really
thing.
got to do that though. I think this might be episode 4, 5, 12, 37, and we still don't have an opening or a closing to this show at this point. Woe is me. Anyway, welcome to One Man and One Woman, the podcast with J. Flan and Tara Michelle. This episode, whatever number it is going to be very interesting, but it is a hot button conversation topic. And it is 50-50 relationships.
Oh yeah, I knew this was going to be annoying, but yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
Okay.
Cool
So
beans.
of course we never approach anything the way that everybody else is doing it on social media because it's just not how we think. It's not how we do things. I want to know from you, when you hear people discussing 50-50 relationships, 50-50 relationships, what do you think they are talking about? And what do you think of when you hear 50-50 relationship? Is that one and the same? Or do you have a totally different view from what you hear most people talking about on social media?
I feel like when people mention the 50-50 thing most of the time on social media, they're purely talking financial. And that's that's one aspect of a relationship. And like I say, I definitely come from the 100, and then there are some times where you don't have 100, you might only got 80 today, and then I got to do the 120, or and vice versa. But I definitely come from the school of the 100. But I think when people are talking about the 50-50, because you can do 100 and one person be 100% financially responsible. Like, it's supposed to be an equally yoked situation. It's supposed, where I lack is where where you come in, and vice versa. If one person can't handle the whole situation financially, then maybe that's the space where we even out the things. But it should be 100. The whole idea of 50-50 is going to have to be the situation for some people, because just where we are right now in this country in terms of the cost of living, a lot of people can't afford to do it on their own. And you're gonna need that help. But if you're in a situation where one person can handle it all, then there's other places where that other person needs to, you know, step up. And so yeah, I think most people are talking about 50-50. That's not usually what I'm talking about. I'm never talking about 50-50, but even in that, I'm cool with splitting the bills with people, with someone, if that's what the situation requires. I definitely was raised more of my wife should be able to work if she wants to, but never have to. We should always be living in a situation where I can maintain our standard of living. Whatever it is that she brings to the table financially is fun money, play around money. Maybe that's our vacation money. Maybe that's our, you know, movies and date night money, whatever it is. But, I definitely came up in the era where the day-to-day maintaining a household money is supposed to come from me. That's supposed to be my responsibility.
That's amazing, especially because you're only 42. A lot of times when we talk about this, I agree with you. People are talking about finances. And this is why I think the 50-50 conversation topic is toxic and very dangerous because life isn't 50-50. In a relationship, in a partnership, in a friendship, like I don't understand why we talk about things like they are ever equal. Even with finances, if we want to be fair, most people are not making the exact same amount of money. So if you're the guy or the woman, it doesn't matter. In this scenario, I'm going to use the guy. If you're the guy and you make 150K a year and your woman makes 60K a year, to me, you are a scumbag. If you expect her to pay 50% of everything straight down the middle with you making so much more than she does. Like it's how does that even like as a dude, how do you feel good with that? As a person who traditionally, and I know we're trying to break through traditions and create new wild madness. I'm not a subscriber to most of the stuff that's out here now, but how could you feel good knowing, let's say y'all bills, I'm just using ridiculous numbers, or 20,000 a month. So she's supposed to come off of 10 from her 60,000 and or 10,000 a year, whatever. She's supposed to or 20,000 a year. 10,000 is going to come from her and she has 50,000 left. We're not even talking taxes. We're just keeping these numbers. And you're at 110. Like to me it's what are you thinking? Like how does that work? You know what I'm saying? So it's not if we're not talking about we make the same amount of money, I don't know that I should be responsible for the same amount that you are, being the male. And this is because I subscribe to traditional roles and gender roles. I like that. I don't have to be new school. But also too, I just I feel like there's so much more that's brought into relationships. I like your the way you describe it as 100 100. I know a lot of people say, I come into a relationship, you come into a relationship, and now we're just, one. Yeah, we are, but that doesn't mean that you just have 100%. There should be 200 in that because both of you are coming in with everything you got in this relationship. And you're right. There might be some times when, and this is because it covers so much more than finances. We're talking emotional stability, mental awareness, just to be there for each other in so many different ways. Who's doing the housework? Who's raising the kids if you share kids? Who's doing the bulk of taking the kids back and forth to here, there, and everywhere versus maybe who's doing the homework with the kids? Who's cooking? Who's doing the laundry? There's so many things. And I don't think anybody actually sits down with a piece of paper and draws the line down and goes, okay, let's make sure the money is spent equally in terms of the bills. And then how many points is cleaning the kitchen worth versus cooking? How many points is bathing the kids versus getting them up, feeding them breakfast, making sure they're dressed, taking them to school? Like, who's putting a monetary value or a point value system together to make sure it's equal? No one. No one's doing that. So it's dangerous and it's toxic to continue with this. Just sit down and talk to each other and say, this is what I would like from you, and this is what I would like from you, and figure it out.
And if you're sharing a life together, there's no magical boundary where you've reached your quota of shit that you got to do for the relationship and you no longer have to contribute. If you've given your half and there's still stuff that needs to be done, or there's still things that need to be taken care of, then they still need to be taken care of. You just can't be like, well, I've done my part. Uh, you know,
Rest is
I
up to
give
you.
up. Yeah, maybe the other person doesn't have it. Maybe the other person's not in a place, to provide it. Um, and then and then we got to really talk about like what relationships are we talking about? People be wanting to talk about, you know, we shouldn't be talking 50-50, 75-25, nothing
Unless we're
if we
married.
just unless we marry. If we
Yeah.
just talking, and I guess everybody don't subscribe to marriage, so we saying like committed relationship, but we talking sharing a life when you've
Mhm.
decided to share a life. If we still living in separate places,
Oh, this isn't a conversation. This is definitely we live together. Because why would we be sharing
yeah.
bills if we didn't?
But I think some of the times when you hear women, I- not to diss the women, but some of the times when you hear women like speak on this kind of stuff, it is a situation where we not even sharing a life, we separate, and somehow my finances, I should be financially responsible for whatever's going on in your household, and that to me is crazy. I think a lot,
Yeah.
and you've seen the thing where like a lot of men are like, women want men to audition for being a husband. They want to see what you're going to be like as a husband while they're dating, but they don't want to be wives at the same time. And I think sometimes men expect the same thing. We want the sex, we want the freak, we want all that good stuff, but we don't, and we want that beforehand before we make a decision about whether or not we want to be committed to you. And neither one of those to me really works. Um,
Well,
you either coming in with everything, I know you like to test the product, but it
Well,
is what
here's
it
the
is.
thing. First of all, I didn't start off my life like that. But when you make a big purchase like marriage, I got married when I was 19 and it was the worst purchase of my life. So yes, I do. And because I'm still a Christian, but I can understand when people say, I don't want to blindly wait till marriage before I test drive the stick. I don't want, or for women and for men, the box, whatever you want to call it. But, or I want to live with you because I want to know how nasty you are, or I want to know how lazy you are, or I want to know how much of a dictator or a tyrant you are. I don't want to tie myself to you and I don't know what I'm getting into. And far too often, when we meet people, we know we meet their representative for a lot of people. Um, I think you are one of the people, one of the maybe two or three people I've ever met in my life who are genuinely who they always present themselves to be. D- And I've met thousands of people in my lifetime. So to say two or three have that ability to be honest about who they are is sad. However, I just think we get caught up. I take marriage very seriously. I do not ever want to be in a situation with someone where I don't know who I'm dealing with until it's too late. So for me, I do think you should, I know this goes against, I don't care. Blindly marrying someone or moving in with someone and hurrying up and getting married and just it freaks me out. So however you want to do it, but I do believe that everybody should be auditioning for marriage while they're dating. Once you decide to be exclusive, if it's just you dating five or six people, y'all just moving around, it is what it is, cool. But when you say, I want to be in a committed relationship with you, it's you and it's us, it's me and you, then at no point should you be holding anything back. For what? It's like, give me everything that you have, and I'm going to give you everything that I have so we know we want to do this. Don't hide bad
Yeah.
stuff, don't hide good stuff. Because eventually, when it comes out, if it's something I didn't sign up for, I'm going to leave anyway. Now we got another divorce to add to the plethora of divorces that are going on. So why wouldn't
Yeah.
everybody audition? And if you're the type of person who wants that person to audition, but you don't want to be tested, that is the red flag for that person to drop you right where you are. I mean, come on, let's not.
First off, I say thank you. I try to be very genuine and authentic, and that's learned behavior. That is learned behavior over a life of experiences and dealing with the stress of not being who you really are in public. I think we've talked outside of the show about times where I couldn't accept love from people because in my mind it was impossible for you to love me because you didn't know me. You only knew the version of me that I pretended to be around you. So you don't really like me. And if you ever knew who I really was, you'd run away. So the whole trying to be authentic thing, I think it's important, but I don't want to make it seem like it's just some easy to do thing. I had to lose a lot to get to the point where, this is the way I live out of self-preservation. But I think that the other issue is dating with intention. Like
Mhm.
what are people's intention? Like, so if you are dating someone, and that's one of the benefits of being 42 is that, like, I do everything intentionally. I'm not out here. I got enough friends. I don't need no more friends. I ain't trying to meet no. When I ask you for your number, I do not want to be your friend. Understand that first and foremost. I'm trying to be something different, and let's have that conversation early about what that something is. Am I just looking for some ass? Am I looking for a partner? Do I want somebody to share things with? Like, what is it that I'm looking for? And if I'm telling you what I'm looking for, and you saying, "I this is what I'm looking for," well, then I should be trying to show you that I can be what it is you're looking for, and vice versa. That I can give you, if unless we wasting each other's time, which is the point of the conversation. Let's not do that. If you lay out to me what it is you're looking for, what it is you're trying to get to, and I want to be with you, and I want to see those things from you, then I should be trying to prove to you that I can provide or be the thing that it is you're looking for. Otherwise, we need to move on, and too old to waste that kind of time. But I don't think people date with intention. People don't do much with intention.
I
They
think they
just,
do have intention. I just don't think the intention is marriage. I think they're dating with
or
the
they,
intention of
it's just a
smashing.
mask.
Yeah, they're just of smashing, of getting pregnant so they can obtain and secure the bag. Of they have intentions. They're just not moral. They're just not holy or good or wholesome or any of those things.
They're not being upfront with those intentions. So there's no way to expect, you know, that a person understand what's going on and act accordingly because people aren't being honest about what those intentions are.
This is true, but to round back to the original question, I think again, I will say this for the people in the back. Having conversations where you place percentages on a relationship is toxic. I think you can say, I want to be evenly yoked. You can say, I want this relationship to be balanced. But I think about the big picture, and I actually have already done this topic on Truthfully Opinionated, my radio show on optimusradio.com. Um, but I've done this topic. Would you say shameless plug?
Now go ahead. I'm sorry.
I've actually done this topic already, just talking to myself, talking to my audience. I don't think it's aired yet. I don't know. I don't think so. But the point is when you think about everything that is in a relationship. You're talking about the finances, you're talking about the emotional support, you're talking about protection. If you have kids, dealing with those kids and raising those kids, keeping the household together and clean. There are just so many different things, but then there's also emotions and attitudes and actions. So when you want things to be equal or you want things to be 50-50, are you sure? And when I talked about this, I gave the example that if you have a man and a woman and they're arguing, right? Because we want to talk about 50-50. That means that however you treat him is how he can treat you. Like we're going into this equally, is the point of the 50-50, right? So let's say the man and the woman are arguing and he gets mad. He's fed up with it. He's like, you know what? I'm leaving for the night. I'm going to my homeboy Darnell's house. I don't have to deal with this. And he leaves. And when he leaves and gets to Darnell's house, he turns his phone off because he knows that she's going to be blowing him up and calling and all of that good stuff. And we all know that, first of all, if he's able to leave the house in one piece, he's going to have to be real quick about leaving. He might just have to leave a note that he left. But she's going to robocall him all night. She's going to leave every message about we're over, we're done, you're never going to see your kids again. Like it's going to be real, real toxic. She's going to accuse him of being with a woman. She's never going to believe that he's at his homeboy's house. She's never going to sit down and take that time to think about what she could have done differently. And maybe they wouldn't have been in this situation. All this good stuff. She's probably going to clown in front of the kids or sit in the bed early with no food because she's too stressed about what he's doing. Probably going to bleach his clothes, burn his clothes, throw them all out in the yard. It's a lot of things that could happen with a woman in that situation. But if you flip it and she gets mad and she leaves, she turns her phone off. 9 times out of 10, he's not calling. He's going to feed the kids, put them to bed, and stay up playing his video games in peace, not worried about her going to Keisha's house for the night. There's a difference in how we act and how we treat each other. I don't know, and I'm not saying every man is like that and every woman is like that, but that is the norm for me in my life and my experience with people that I know. So there's no way to bring about an equilibrium with that because one side is usually more logical, one side is more emotional. I just want people to understand that when you think about something being 50-50, meaning equal, meaning balanced, it just doesn't work like that. We're too different in so many different ways. So again, I think what you have to do is sit down and have those conversations at the beginning to say, look, this is the kind of life I envision for myself. This is how I want my household to run. Are you good with that? You know? And like you said, it's not about, oh, I've done my 50 for the week or I've done my 50% for the day. I'm done. What if things change? What if there's a water main break at your job? You get sent home early with pay. So you didn't have to do your full day. Oh, but it's Wednesday, and according to the calendar, it's her day to cook. But she's gonna be at work till 6 or 7 this afternoon, this evening. So what stops you, since you have the time now, from making dinner for her? That'll be you putting in more than your 50% for the day. So do you not because of that? Like, come on, this is crazy.
So again, back to the 100 thing. Like I'm giving you my all, and I am as concerned with your well being, if not as much as I am with mine, if not more. So in that situation, it's not a question of, how much have I already given. Like I know people, it sounds bad when you say living for somebody, but sometimes you live for your kids. Like if you love someone and you're committed to that person, then being able to like exist in a space where you are moving solely in ways that try to make them happy or try to make them more fulfilled, especially when you have someone doing the exact same thing for
For
you.
you. Mhm.
It's not a it's not a bad thing.
Nobody's
Now,
missing. Everybody's getting what they need.
everybody's getting their needs met, and if you have those conversations and you know how to communicate with your partner about what your needs are, know how to communicate when your needs aren't being met, you can live in that space. Now, I'll say this about the example that you gave. Nah, nah, son. Nah, please, I wish you would storm out the house. Talking about you going to Keisha's house and turn your phone off and think everything will be cool when you get back. I'm just gonna play Madden all night and have some pizza or something and kiss my ass on now.
I
Hell
know a
no, I
lot of
don't.
men who behave that way, where they're just tired of the headache and the bickering, and they really don't care when she leaves. And a lot of the men that I'm envisioning, my male friends and my male family members that I'm specifically envisioning, is because they're so egotistical they wouldn't dare to dream she'd be with some dude. Like it just doesn't cross their minds, and that's why I had to go back and say I'm not saying this is how every man would think or how every woman would think or act, but that's the example that comes to mind. I've even witnessed some of these things. I have literally witnessed these things play out just like that. You know what I'm saying? So, for the most part, just to give an example, the way that people react is different. We just cannot think that everything is going to be equal all the time. I mean, I'm sorry for any feminists that are listening, but that's just not how life works. But this does tie in for me to another question that is also a hot button topic. Um, the what do you bring to the table question. And so the way that I want to frame this is like what I'm curious about nowadays when men ask that question is what they're looking for. And let me tell you why. Because from the things that I've seen and the podcasts that I've been a part of on panels, when a woman says, well, I cook and I clean, and I'm willing to be a, great sexual partner, and I'm the one who would end up having the kids if we're gonna have kids, stuff like that. Men are nowadays saying, I can have a baby with anyone. I can clean myself. I can cook myself, or I can hire someone to clean and I can hire someone to cook. Is that all you got? Like it's become this thing where the traditional things that men used to want from women, they're saying they no longer need from women, which to me is mad weird and wild and kind of okay. But when the women say this and then they reject all those notions saying that they can do it on their own, it's like, well, do you want a woman then? On one hand, if you can do everything by yourself or pay for everything, because you could pay for a woman companion and she could be the one cleaning your house and cooking. You're right, you could do that. But then what are you looking for this woman to tell you that she brings? What is the reason for the question if you're openly admitting that financially you can or physically you can handle everything yourself? When you frame it like that, first of all, you're setting it up to reject her or the notion or idea of her, I feel. And you're also making it seem to her like you don't actually need a woman, which again would put me in the mind frame to ask you, then what the hell are you asking the question for? Why you worried about it? Why you talking about it? So, with regard to that question, how do you feel about that question? And if you were to ask a woman that question, what type of answers would you want? What are you looking to hear from her?
First, I think, and this is another one of those things that just like bothers me. That question for me is not a question most real men ask. I think that question is a response. We hear over and over and over again, what do you bring to the table? This is what a man has to bring to the table. And so now there's like this defensive response. Well, fuck that. What do you bring to the table? Like I'm tired of it being always me and what I have to do. And that is a lot of how men feel. Like if you're a little boy growing up in this world, you either need to hit that block and become financially successful that way, or you need to hit them books so that you can have a car, a house, the jewelry, the clothes, all of that stuff, be able to pay for her nails, her hair, her BBL if that's what she's trying to do. Like there are
Oh
things,
God.
there are things you have to spend your life attaining just to become eligible for a woman. And what it seems like in the reverse is that the only thing women have to do to be eligible for a man is be a woman. Like you got ass, titties, and a vagina, so you qualify. You meet all the qualifications. So I think that question most of the time when you hear it from men is just an emotional rebuttal to what we constantly get. Um, in terms and for some of the stuff, because I know I dealt with this in my marriage. Like, you know, my wife at times when I was the breadwinner and everything like that, sort of critiquing, she's saying things like, "I don't know where you'd be without me," or something like that. And I'm just like, I had to remind her a few times, I existed for 33 years before I even met you. And I was in a shape. I ain't meet you disheveled and unclean and unkept, something like you used to come to this house that I claimed before I even knew you, and you weren't like, oh my God, what pigsty is this? I was, my face, my skin, my hair, my clothes, I smell good. Like I knew how to take care of myself prior to your arrival. So don't try to take credit for that from me. But if depending on the gender roles, yeah, the fact that you cook and clean, I think maybe we want we want some of the intangibles. We want, um, I support you. I'm gonna stand by. I'm a be a part of your vision. I'm gonna play a role in your dream. Whatever it is, if you with it, I'm with it. And I'll stand behind you. It's just I think a lot of this is just a rebuttal to the idea, and especially in this modern day like dating world, that like for some reason women think looking pretty and having sex with us entitles you to all of that other stuff that we've had to work our whole lives to attain. But for us, and that's like innate for you. Like you didn't have to do anything for that. You just was born that way, and so you have the ability to open your legs, and you got some parts that we like looking at, and that's like you've done all you need to do in life. As with us, there's a lot we just to be eligible, just to be able to stand in the room and say and have the right to ask you for your number. You see a dude that don't look like he in his right place in life, and what made you think you could come over here? So what I'm saying? But this is real. I'm not saying anything crazy. I'm not saying anything crazy. He got
No.
the wrong kind of shoes on, and you be ill. What I'm saying? And so we've had to do that our whole lives. Figure out, make enough money to buy them shoes, make enough money to have that car, make enough money to buy that cologne, make enough money, and then make enough money to do all of those things for ourselves, and then have enough left over to do the stuff that you want us to do for you. And these are all of the things, all of the boxes we have to check before we even say hello. So we wonder, what have you been doing your whole life in preparation for me?
Well,
That's what that question.
here's the thing for me. How did we get here? So I think it's become convoluted. But I think it naturally started with the fact that women didn't really have any rights. They were pretty much property. So they were, they knew that that's what they got sold off or married off or whatever. And they had to do the stuff like keeping up with the house because he had to work because they couldn't work. And so women have that notion of, oh, I want to stay at home and I want you to be the provider. But it's switched. They are no longer trying to take care of the kids or even have kids for that matter. They don't want to cook anything. They don't want to clean anything. They want to, maybe go to the gym because a lot of them are really, really, into the fitness to make sure that they can stay snatched and go shopping. That's what they want to do. So it's really become twisted where women want to be taken care of, but they don't want to do anything to deserve that. They don't want to be half of a relationship. They want to benefit and reap everything, reap every benefit of the relationship and being taken care of without actually doing the things that a man needs. For me, when I hear that question, what do you bring to the table? I mean, if we're talking about the tangible things, like, yeah, well, even if you can cook and clean on your own and do the laundry on your own, do all that good stuff, isn't it nice to know that sometimes somebody else can be there to handle it? You don't have to do it all. You don't have to be somebody to do it. Like, again, I think dudes are being ignorant when they say that just to be combative. So of course the woman's going to come in and bring in the fact that she can help you do all the things that you're currently doing for yourself for those who actually can do those things. Because I know a lot of men who cannot. They don't even know the first thing about sorting laundry. You ask them about darks, lights, and whites, they have no idea what you're talking about. But
Just put it on cold and you're good. Wash everything in cold water. Don't worry
so
about it.
I think that there is something to just the existence of a woman. And I'm speaking as a woman. I'm speaking to the fact that we can add a different just energy level to a man, just the essence of a woman. You don't have to be alone anymore. You got a warm body
And it's
that's yours, that'll be there every night, that'll be there every morning. You have,
and it's the same for us. We want to be valued as something more than dick and money.
I mean, exactly. And you could have said that when you were speaking. But now that I have the mic, I'm just
I did.
saying
Okay.
when a dude asks that question to a woman, because that's how we started this. When a man asks that question to a woman, so I'm saying if this was asked of me, I'm saying to you, I add a level of femininity to your life and positivity and support. Just me being there, and I am that girl who is going to help you get wherever it is you want to go, who's going to be your support, who's going to pour into you. You know what I'm saying? Who is going to help you in any way that you need me to. You know what I'm saying? Spiritually be your strength, emotionally, mentally, just be there with you. You don't have to be alone anymore. I'm here to be whatever it is you need me to be, and then some. A lot of times we're watching yo right, left, back, front, up and down, and you have no idea how we're caring for you in those ways. And sometimes you don't even notice how much we're putting in and how much positivity we're bringing and how much support until we're gone. For those who are really good at it and stay the whole time, you never have to know what it feels like not to have me. So for me, those are things that may not necessarily be tangible, but if you have them and you go back to thinking about what it was like before you had it, you definitely notice the difference. There's a reason why they say behind every great man is a great woman, because you are great and you got to where you got because you had a good woman by your side who was able to help you carry that load and to push you when you didn't think you had it no more, and to give you all of her energy if she needed to get you over that line. So I think we need to focus on that. And I think you're right. And I appreciate you saying that as a man, that a lot of times that is a reaction out of anger or of hurt, or even just being sick and tired of being sick and tired of being asked that question themselves. And I think that's the kind of toxic behavior we need to get rid of.
And your answer was much better than I cook, I clean, I give good sex. You win, you know what I'm saying? You mentioned those intangibles. And these are the same things that my masculine energy can provide you outside of my paycheck and what's in my pants. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we want to be valued. We want there really feels like, and again, this is where men get zesty or whatever, they sound emo or whatever it is. But Chris Rock said it, very poignantly. Like, the only people who are loved unconditionally in this world are women and puppy, or it's like children and dogs or something, like women, children, and dogs. It's like men are only valued on the scale of what they can provide. And that is always the conversation. What can you do for me? What can you do for me? What can you do for me? And it's so weird that now it seems off-putting for a man to reverse the question, when historically it
Mhm.
has been, what can you do for me? Well, you are only as good as what you can provide. Can you protect me? Can you pay for this? Can you lift this? Can you open this? You are only as good. You're only good to me if you can do something for me, like tangible. My presence, my masculinity, or whatever like that was not inherently valued unless I had, something to show for it. And so there has come a level of frustration to where, when you wake up feeling like I'm not worth anything unless, I got a certain amount in the bank account, or I got this, like, I am not worth anything by myself. And then you get to watch women live this life that's like, I'm worth something just because I'm a woman. And so there's probably some jealousy. There's a lot of anti-male emotions going on in that question. There's some jealousy, there's some defensiveness, there's some insecurity. There are a lot of that in there. But we should be asking ourselves as a society, this is not a new question for men. It's new coming from men. And why is that so off-putting for a man to be able to ask, what can you do for me?
Because they've been providers for so long. Again, historically, that is how this situation was set up. We were not working back then. We couldn't work. We couldn't vote. There's a lot of things we couldn't do. But then you usher in the welfare system. where that question really probably was birthed. Because it's like this man from the government is coming in and telling me I'm going to get this check and these food stamps and this and this and this if I don't have you in the house. All I need to do is get rid of you, who used to be my protector, who used to be the person I looked to, my confidant, the strength, the head of the household. Get rid of you, and I could potentially be doing better living off the government. Now you fractured, especially with the black community, because that's pretty much, that's I'm black. So that's what I know. That's what I've seen. Now you have a situation where are you worth more to keep than what I can get from the government? And I can see that being where maybe this mentality was birthed because now women are more independent. They've been turned against their men. He's been rendered obsolete or insignificant, which is wholly just disrespectful and untrue. Because as we see with these broken households, with these single moms, a lot of these kids don't grow up okay. What we cannot sit up here and pretend is that we're men and we can inherently, like truly foundationally teach a little boy how to be a man. We can teach him the things that maybe our fathers were or the good men we had in our life were or what we think a man should be. Again, convoluted and distorted because we're women and, we're emotional, but we do the best that we can. A lot of us do. Some of us don't. But still, I think when you've been giving the option of having a person there who may be able to keep a job, who may be able to find a job, who may not, you're going to rather go where you don't have to struggle than to stay with a man and have to struggle. So that might also be where it's birthed from. But you're right. It's a lot of new stuff that's going on right now, but it just seems real weird for a man to start talking about all of his emotions and all of his feelings and the fact that as a woman, when we ask him questions, it somehow affects him and enrages him or makes him jealous or insecure. It's like, wait, wait, wait. Not only do we have to deal with the fact that you're now turning the questions that we normally are used to asking you on us, but now you also got emotions like us too, but you want us to consider you a man. Because in our head, none of the men we grew up watching did any of these things. So just like it's new territory for you guys, it's super new territory for us. And it's not cool to call
But
a man
women,
zesty or sassy because he's doing these things. We are just going to have to get used to the fact that men are speaking up for themselves. They're expressing their emotions, and they're not willing to continue to be pansies and prove anything to you. Now they're asking that you prove it to them. So turnabout's fair play. Deal with it.
and women ask for this. They ask for this. You upset when a man isn't emotionally available to you or won't become vulnerable in front of you or won't confide in you. These are male emotions. And
Mhm.
it's not that these other men didn't have these emotions. If you go back and you look at statistics, motherfucker, I'm trying to clean it up. I'm sorry,
No,
turn
you're
shit.
fine. You can say whatever you want.
Those dudes was drinking themselves to death, sniffing themselves to death, fucking
Creating
themselves to
families.
death,
Yep. Creating families two
creating that
doors down the street.
multiple families and different. They was going to find comfort over here, over there, over anywhere they could get it because they was going through something and had no place to articulate it. So it's like now you either want us to talk or you don't. But if you want us to talk, we are human just like you. So the same question you have, we might have it too. And are you prepared to give us that answer? The same fears that you have, we might have them too. And really have had no space historically to like express that unless we was boxing or I'm saying this is why we do what we do. This is why we go play football. This is why we play a sport where you put on pads and then go run as hard as fast as you can into another 300-pound man. You understand how crazy that sounds when you break it down like that? But you got to be going through internally to just need to unleash that real quick every Sunday on the football field for millions of dollars. But I digress. But this is when and if you talk to a man right now and he tells you I'm stressed about what they gonna tell you to do, you need to go exercise. You need to go. You need to physically get that out. Nobody wants to hear what we got. Nobody wants to hear that kind of stuff from us.
I think I, I think we have to get away from saying that. I think we have to get away from saying that because there are women like myself and plenty of other women that I know who are actually listening, who are setting up platforms to have these types of conversations. We care. The thing that God, I still to me think that the greatest creation God ever made was the black man. And that's not to take anybody off because I think we all started off black. I think we all hail from Africa. I'm not gonna have that long term conversation either. But I feel like we have to understand the importance of everybody being okay. We have to understand that we're all human, despite whatever we grew up seeing. This is a different world. There's so many things changing, so many traditions that have been broken, so many new things that are setting precedents, and we just got to deal with it. There's some things that you don't have to cater to anything, and you don't have to believe or agree in everything, but you should be respectful, and you should have tolerance for these changes, even if you don't have to apply them to your life. Most specifically, though, I don't like to see people hurting. I don't like the way I'm seeing men crumble under the pressure of trying to remain stoic and hide their feelings like all of the men in their family before them. They are crumbling. These men are falling apart because it is unnatural and it is unhealthy to try to sustain some kind of, you know, symbiosis or stasis that it's not natural. We're not asking women to do this. Women are allowed to break down, to take long term, short term, FMLA, whatever from work to get themselves together. But God forbid a man say he need that time too. God forbid a man say, while you're going through this, I too am going through something. He has to suck it up and figure it out. You know what I'm saying? How does that work when we are fundamentally the same in terms of just being human beings?
As a man, I just want to give women some grace on that because women have been in a position where you're left with the kids and you are falling apart and don't have the luxury of being able to do so. So there are a lot of women who have been, and some people might say that's women being forced to take on men's responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
But there are women that are doing it every day, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and we as men need to do better to not put them in that situation. But there are women that are doing it every day and they don't really have, maybe they could fall and nobody would, look at them like something was wrong with them, but they can't fall because they have people
Relying on
that
them.
they're responsible,
These little lives they
relying on them.
created. Yeah.
Women do this all the time, and I just want to make sure I acknowledge that without trying to make it seem like women couldn't do what it is that they're asking men to do. Y'all do it and been doing it for quite some time, but like we and especially now when I feel like there's an attack on masculinity. If you're a little boy growing up right now, you wake up and you kind of, especially if you're a black boy, you're responsible for everything wrong that's happening in the world. You just being a boy is somehow wrong and needs to be tamed and needs to be reined in. Masculinity as a whole is toxic. It's toxic masculinity, and then what? Like, is there a word for the good kind? Like, it's just like,
No, you're right. That's the feminists that are doing that. That is a feminist, and also another group that I'm not gonna mention because I just don't even have time, where people just but the problem is you do have a lot of toxic masculinity out there. You have people who feel like they can do anything under the sun, like grab a woman by the pussy. You can run for president after saying some stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So you do have that, but you're right. What is the word? The word is masculinity. When you don't have toxic in front of it, it's perfectly fine. However, you would like to have people think that we need to eradicate the word and all men while we're at it, but we're talking about sane people,
and
so
we
they
we
don't
have to
matter.
be reined in. We have to be feminized to a certain point.
I don't want a feminine man. I know that there's feminine energy and masculine energy in every single person, but I don't want a man I want to be the divine feminine in the relationship, and I want him to be the divine masculinity. I don't that doesn't make any sense to me. To have a full outright feminine male. To me, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. It just doesn't work for me as a woman. And then you get with this. So I don't understand that. We got one group of people wanting to feminize men, and then we have all these men just distraught over all of these masculine women. These women who are out here doing all the things that a man normally would in a relationship because they're single and they've been left with these kids, or they've been done wrong so much they rather just be by themselves than be with them. It's really insane out here.
It is. It's nothing to be distraught over. I mean, if it's not what's for you is for you, and what's not for you is not for you. And it's really just that simple. There's no reason to be upset because somebody has adapted to a life that you didn't play a part in. So it's
But
just,
the problem is you have the men who are coming in after that. The men who might see her think she's beautiful, like her conversation, and when they want to date her, she just comes because she's so used to living the life of having to play both roles that she doesn't know how to allow him to feel that space. And these women, they've turned into these women who literally get on national television or these podcasts or social media and say, I don't need a man. What I need a man for, baby, listen, I need mine.
Why would you pursue a woman that don't need you?
But
I
here's the
I
thing,
wouldn't.
it's not even that. What if every time you turn around, that's all you see? You're a man and you're tired of being alone, and you know this woman has all these good qualities. It's just this one thing that's messed up in her head. And how about if you're just a man who just is saddened to hear that? As a woman, I'm saddened to hear that. Every time I've been on a panel where I've said, I need my man. People, girl, I don't know. That just sounds weak, baby. Then, okay, that's fine for you, but you don't have to be in my relationship. People have a problem with saying you need someone. It's like a weakness or blasphemy. When you need a person, when you actually need a person, like, of course, we have necessities like oxygen. You need to breathe, you need to drink water, you need to have food. That's exactly how I want to need my man. I want him to be that necessity as well. But see, when you say that, people have so much hurt and pain that they go, oh my God, when you give somebody that much space in your heart and your soul and in your mind, they're just going to destroy you. Like, stop, take the negativity out. What if he doesn't? What if I found the person I'm actually supposed to be with? I just want to be immersed in his energy, his essence. I want to absorb him in every single way. Yes, in every single way.
Yeah.
And I want to live that way. I want to feel every day like I need this person. I'm not talking about him cheating on me and him leaving and me, being some distraught crazy person. No, I'm talking about his energy, his protection, his love, his support, and I'm pouring it all back into him too. I need that for the vision I have for my life of growing old with this person, raising kids with this person, living a life with this person. That's a need for me because that's what brings me joy and brings me happiness. So I don't give a flying anything what somebody thinks about me using that word. I need my man. I love him. I'm obsessed with him. So for me, that works. I'm not afraid to need him. I don't think it's a negative thing.
I didn't need a woman. I absolutely did not need a woman. I needed my woman,
I
and
know
that
that's
meant
right.
I had to sit and wait. That meant I had to sit and wait. I didn't have to stick my dick in everything that passed to figure out if it was mine or not. I recognized her when I saw her, and she recognized me when she saw me. We need if it's not for you, it's not for you, and you don't have to be so upset about it. If she doesn't need you, then and I was on shows and I'm having these conversations. I understand the whole idea. Like it was hurtful to see women in that space, and you're trying to talk to, you're trying to represent something just to let them know that something else does exist. And whatever it is your experience has been with men is not the totality of us. That there's a possibility that you might stumble upon something later down the line. But that didn't mean that I was on these shows and she don't need a man. But I need to prove to her she need a man by being that man that she need. No, I don't. She wasn't the one for me.
Yeah,
Just I think a lot of us need to sit and be still, and what you need to come to you. What's for you is for you.
I love that. I think we should end on that note. That was perfectly stated.
All right, we'll walk out on that note on some quiet storm type.
This was a great conversation. I knew it would be a great conversation, even though at the beginning you're all like, I knew this was going to be corny or ridiculous or whatever you called it. I knew it would be a good conversation only because it's all anybody's talking about right now. And I just feel like it's a hamster wheel. People are not diving into and exploring what how this foundation of things actually started. So I don't understand how we're supposed to break it up and build from scratch. But I'm glad we got to have the kind of conversation that we had, and hopefully we can help clarify some things for some people and shake some people out of their whatever trans they're in that has it. We need each other. Men need women, women need men, but we need to be with people who are good for us and healthy for us, not just, oh, there's a guy, let me grab him. Make sure it works for you. I feel like, and when we get in that space, I think we will all be the better for it. And I mean, and people who like the same sex too, whatever. We're not meant to be alone, is all I'm trying to say. And on that note, have we figured out a
I like how
closing?
you
Like,
you
this
know
is so functional. Alright, guys, well, thanks for listening.